Good evening, everybody. Aaron Wingert with Wingert's Woodworks Game Calls. Wanted to do a kind of an initial review on a new tool I have recently acquired. I've always turned my calls and other turnings on jet MIDI lathes. Started with a 1221 VS, and then when the 1220 VS came out 10 or 11 years ago, I've gone through two of those now. When I say gone through, I don't break them down, but the tailstocks on them get really sloppy with the amount of use I put on them. So started looking at what my options were, what might be a little beefier, maybe a little better build. That got me to Powermatic. So I'm just got a Powermatic 2014, which is kind of the same capacity-ish as the Jets. A little more swing on it, but the bed length and all that's comparable. It's just a lot better built lathe. It's beefier. It's much more substantial. So figure I'd give you a little tour of it and tell you what I like, what I don't like, and let's do it. So here she sits, put on a really heavy table so we don't get any shake. Headstock end motor, 110 power. 3-phase motor. If you don't believe me, you electrical people, phase is 3-phase. How does that work? It's got this converter on the back. So the motor, as I understand it, generally allows you to adjust RPM by kind of metering the juice into it, and you still get the same level of power and torque through this lathe, which if I was turning bowls, that'd be a big deal. For turning duck calls, it's not, but it's cool. Hand wheel, a little bit different than what I'm used to. I am learning to really like it. That hasn't been hard at all. I thought that was going to be a tough adjustment, and it hasn't. This is the indexing. It's got all the stops. I don't remember how many, but plenty of stops in that pulley. Has 3 belt settings. I will never need to touch those belt settings personally. I'll show you why. The RPM range for what I'm doing is fantastic. Notice the metal construction here. This is not plastic. It's a little better build quality. This is a spindle lock. I don't have 2 hands available right now because I'm holding the camera. But you rotate your chuck or whatever's on the spindle, pull that out at the same time. That'll pull up, allow you to pop your chuck off or whatever you have on your spindle. So I like that feature. Wasn't sure if I would, and I do. I think that's been pretty well thought out. The motor adjustment, the motor belt tensioning. This device here that sticks out is obviously well made, but it's in the way. You know, as I'm on here turning, I'm finding that happening. I don't like that, but it does unscrew, and I really never have a need to retension belts and things unless I'm changing bearings. So that's going to come off and just hang up on my magnet strip up there, and we'll all get along. Banjo, well made. Been happy with it. Cool clamp on this. It kind of clamshells around the tool post or tool rest post instead of a little screw going into the side of it and just kind of biting it. It's you ain't moving it. So been really happy with that. I reversed this 180. It's very easy to do. I liked having the adjustment on this side as opposed to this side. I don't even know why. It's just what felt right. The tool rest on it, that's an aftermarket robust. It came with that big dude. Big to me, not a big tool rest. I think it's an 8-inch, but I like a little bit shorter one just to be able to get in and work around what I'm doing. So robust ones is what I was used to, so that's what I acquired. Spindle is 1.25" by 8. I was obviously on MIDI lathes with Jet, so inch by 8 TPI is what I had, and did have to upgrade change my adapter inserts, these little dudes, in all my chucks. 28 bucks a piece times 4. So wound up buying a couple of new collet chucks, which I knew I'd have to do. at first, let's talk through this actually. I knew I'd have to do it, but I talked myself into one of these. Spindle adapter, which screws onto the spindle and adapts to 1x8 chucks. This one's made by Easy Wood Tools, so it's a great brand. It works, but only works if you're using a tailstock, which a lot of my stuff I don't get to use a tailstock. And there was a, if you're, your workpiece is sticking out that far and you're facing off the end of it or drilling or anything, I was getting a lot of chatter, undulation in a lathe that frankly has 3 bearings, and that spindle isn't chattering. So it was just the fact I'd parts and parts on top of parts was causing that. So I decided, $50 or whatever on this was worth a try, but ultimately made the switch, and I'm glad I did. No chatter, things rock solid now. So back to the banjo, moves around great. A couple of the reviews I saw online kind of griped about the machining of the bed. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's compared to the smaller jets, compared to most lathes, it's on par or better than. This banjo slides like butter. I have not waxed this. I do use Bow Shield T9 on all my tools periodically just to keep the rust off them, because I wet sand and things like that. So water does get on this lathe, so I use that, but it moves like butter. So I'm pretty happy there. Major complaint here, and I knew this was going to be an issue. The bed, super solid. One, it's obviously one piece. It's one big casting. But here's what happens. Well, it's oh, whoops. Now that's down in there. My big paw don't go in there, so you have to lift the lathe up, or I got to get a little magnet. Actually, it's gonna be my solution for magnetic stuff. But happened again. Dust was my bigger concern. I have no problem getting my vacuum tipped down in there. Also, it stands a little bit, let's say 3/8 of an inch maybe, off the table, so I've been able to suck dust out of there that way. So dropping stuff down in there has been the bigger hassle. I don't know how to do it different, but I would have liked to. I think it would have been better if they had kind of put inch-tall feet or something where you could get under that. But you could put it on blocks or on 2x6s or something, and if that was an issue for you, and it won't be an issue for you. Tailstock. Tailstock of this lathe is why I bought it. So it is like 27, 28 pounds. There's a lot of metal in it. It is incredibly well made. It is incredibly smooth. I mean, that thing just turns like it's just perfectly. I don't know, bearing wise, if that's metal on metal. It sure feels like a bearing. I've not taken it apart. There's about 4 1/4 inches of stroke on the quill, which is awesome. I don't use that much. This is a one-way center, not part of what came with the lathe. It came with a little cheap cone center that was worth about $3. I gave that to the guy that bought my old lathe. Nice setup here too. Again, it doesn't really grub screw into the spindle. It's kind of got I'm going to say a bronze bushing around that. Saw a lot of, well, there's not a lot of reviews on this lathe online, frankly, but I saw at least one person complained about the length here on the tailstock lever. I'm tall, I have long arms, I have no problem here, but if you did, you could put a wood, like a tool handle type of thing on it, extend it out. If that makes you happy, it wouldn't be hard to do. But no, the tailstock moves well. It is heavy. That takes a little getting used to from a guy that's been turning on wimpy tailstocks. It also has stops in here to keep it from running off the back. Those do unscrew if you do want to take it off. Tool rest here. I wasn't sure if I'd use it, but I've been putting my life centers in it and calipers, pencil. It's been handy. I'm still coming to terms with whether I like that or not. So let's talk about power on this thing. So that's the control for the, I don't remember the acronym, VFD or whatever it's called. So you turn that on, this comes to life. This is magnetic, allowing you to position it however or wherever you want. That's where I like it. The switch is well made. Here's the 0 RPMs. That's everything I could ever need to do. Switch operation's really smooth. This is a, so I'm going to move the spindle. That's your kind of your positioning. So not that I don't know what I'd use it for, but I don't know what I'd use it for. I'll be honest. It's got forward and reverse. Everything, you know, it's well built. I believe that's the same one they put on the Powermatic 3250 or 3520, the big beast. So anyway, this kind of backing up. That's it. I'm overall pretty thrilled with it. It's smooth. It's quiet. It's beefy. There's no vibration in it. I would, you know, for the price point, it's not for everybody, but generally I've been very happy with it and would recommend it to anybody that, you know, if the smaller lathe is not quite enough, not from a capacity standpoint, either not enough horsepower or frankly the quality is okay, but you're trying to be a little more precise. This tailstock is a game changer, at least so far. I've never had a new jet MIDI lathe that was as smooth and tight as this one. Talk to me in 2 or 3 years. Let's see how it's doing. But overall, pretty cool machine. Highly recommend it. Happy to answer any questions. Y'all have